Welcome to the JEMS Report, brought to you by Clarion Events, Fire and Rescue Group, and the Journal of Emergency Medical Services. I'm Ted Lee, the editor-in-chief of JEMS Magazine, along with Jeff Frankel, our managing editor. The JEMS Report brings to you experts in the field of EMS and all things emergency medical services and pre-hospital medicine. And today we are talking to Dr. Mandy Gattis from the South Carolina EMS Association. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So why don't you give our listeners a little bit about your background and kind of how you came to the South Carolina EMS Association?
Sure. I was actually a volunteer firefighter for about 15 years, and the medical side interested me more than the fire side, of course. So I followed up with EMR training, and in my spare time, I decided I was going to go to school while I homeschooled my children and worked. So I initially went with criminal justice, thinking I was going to be a forensic science crime lab person. You know, it was on TV. That was the cool thing to do. And decided that wasn't the way I wanted to go, and started getting really interested in mental health, first responder mental health. I had been on a few calls, had seen some things that basically just made people react differently to different calls. You know, those bad calls, some people wouldn't react, others would react badly, and it interested me. So I went and got my doctorate in education in psychology and did my dissertation on first responder mental health and personality type. And basically kind of found the association by accident, but it was the absolute perfect fit. And I've been able to use my research and create some health and wellness programs and really kind of get the word out that mental health and wellness is where it's at right now.
Of course, always a hot topic for EMS, and the days of suck it up, Buttercup, and be tough and don't show your feelings. We've realized that that's just not really healthy for any of the providers. So hats off to you for working in that field. Before we delve into that, though, what can you tell me about the South Carolina EMS Association and their mission, and kind of how you're part of that and what they're working towards?
We are working towards so many things. It's absolutely amazing. We are building the workforce. We're putting people through school as cost neutral as possible. We offer scholarships. We're working with agencies. We're helping other agencies bring Australians over and help bolster the workforce. So many legislation initiatives have been passed that have helped. The Sarah Weaver bill, there's a few others, but we are right now in the midst of just a huge push for education and building that workforce out to just be full staffed. We're hoping here soon that we will have a state that will be fully staffed.
That's another hot topic, of course, recruitment and retention. Are there many states that are working towards this as far as collectively, or is this unique to South Carolina?
I mean, of course, everybody's trying to work to get there, but I think what we're doing is unique to South Carolina and how we're doing it.
So how exactly is this working out? I mean, what special initiatives? You mentioned some things about education. What's different going through South Carolina, or what you guys are working through, than other states?
We have so many different programs. We've got some loan programs, the BOLD program. We've got our foundation that we write grants through. I write grants through, and that gets the tuition so that people that can't, EMS school, EMT school, it's not everybody has the money to go through it, and they want that career field. So we give them the opportunity to be able to do it for free while still working. They can work for a service and go to EMT school at the same time. So there's apprenticeship programs. There's literally so many different opportunities that will fit around anybody's schedule. And we're trying to work on something else that will maybe help people even more that aren't within driving distance to a school or aren't, within a proximity of a place where they can get to a school. Maybe down the road, that'll be something that we can add to our repertoire of things we offer. But we are definitely getting people through EMT school. We're getting them in the workforce, and it's an absolutely amazing thing.
You mentioned apprenticeships. I know that South Carolina's technical college system has apprenticeship stuff. Are you working with them in those programs as well, or is it something separate?
We do both. It does do the technical colleges, and we're doing it with agencies as well.
Oh, so agencies having their own EMT, advanced EMT paramedic classes, as well as through the colleges.
Yep, and the regional EMS councils.
Regional councils, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that's still kind of unique to South Carolina, that the regional councils are still active in education, because not every state does that anymore, correct?
Right.
So let's get on the topic of EMS Week. EMS Week is coming up. I understand that the South Carolina EMS Association has been working towards this for quite a while. So what can you tell me that you guys have planned for the upcoming weeks?
This has been a huge undertaking. It started out with a little idea about 8 months ago from one of our board members. Hey, it's the 50th anniversary, let's do something special. So it kind of started as, 500 or so people, get them together, give them some food, give the kids something to do, and let them celebrate. Well, now it's turned into a day-long event, the last day of EMS Week, the 25th. So we're talking a concert, kids' activities, food trucks, shopping, small business. It's going to be an amazing day. But all week long, we're celebrating our providers. We've got baseball games lined up for minor baseball teams. We've got I think it's discounted ride passes at Carolina Adventure World here in Columbia. That's a pretty famous, like, ATV trail riding kind of place. And we've got the golf tournament happening that Friday. So it's almost every single day we've got something big happening.
So other than, of course, it being kind of close to home because you work for an agency that directly impacts EMS, and kind of, taking care of our own, what kind of importance is your association putting on EMS Week? I mean, yes, discount stuff for EMS providers is one thing, but what's the message to the general public?
We want to show the public who these people are when they call 911. We want them to meet the people that are coming to help them. They're just regular people like us, and we want the public to be able to come celebrate and say thank you with us, because we want to show our providers we appreciate them, the community appreciates them, and that really goes unnoticed 90% of the time.
Right. I had a podcast yesterday, and we were talking a little bit about the thank yous that don't necessarily come, but they're there, and it's a situation where somebody's having the worst possible day that they could ever have. They're not always going to be able to remember or kind of internalize or focus on the fact that a provider, somebody was there to help them. The thank you usually materializes later, and not in the moment. So a lot of people get into EMS, and it's a service calling. It's not necessarily a need for that thank you. We're not making a ton of money. We don't have great work schedules, or anything like that, but it definitely goes back to the service and trying to make a difference. So you mentioned the 25th, the big day for the celebration. Tell me about that. What's going on? Where is it? What are the timeframes for that?
We actually rented the state fairgrounds in Columbia. So we have the entire run of the South Carolina State Fairgrounds. We're going to start the day off with a parade of about 30 emergency services emergency vehicles. It's going to end at the fairgrounds. We're going to have trucks on display. An air ambulance is going to land. So kids are going to be able to, you know, crawl around ambulances, the helicopter, like they don't normally get to do. So that's kind of neat. We're going to have basically a vendor hall almost type of thing, but it's full of small businesses. So local artists, local jewelry makers, things like that can be involved. Kids, inflatables, bouncy houses, slides, all that good stuff. Food trucks. We're going to have some perks for our EMS providers. So they get to come to our booth. They get a little bag full of all kinds of stuff. We had special challenge coins made up just for this year. I designed the logo for that, and we've made shirts and challenge coins for that. Then we've got a concert to end the night. We have Taylor Ingle, Corey Smith, and the frontman of country. So that is, off the top of my head, that is the lead singer, formerly of Lone Star, the singer formerly of Little Texas, and the lead singer formerly of Restless Heart.
So quite an action-packed day for sure.
Yes.
With the general vendors and stuff, it's interesting that you'd bring them in. Is this kind of a nod to having more community involvement with it?
It is. We've got a few of the normal EMS vendors in there, you know, like some of the bigger names, but we really wanted to make this something that the public could feel involved in. So having them involved just kind of broadens that audience for us and helps bring in who we want. We want the public. We want them to see what we do. We want them to see the people that come see them and just tell them thank you. Like the EMTs, EMS, paramedics, everybody, they're going to have special wristbands. They're going to have blue wristbands. So we're kind of hoping, you know, you say, hey, you see a blue wristband, you know, go up and say thank you. So we're hoping that'll kind of take off.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. That's a nice touch and kind of bringing it home, because really that's what this is all about, is, you know, service to the community. On a larger scale, I mean, how's the state? I mean, everybody talks about the state and the federal government and EMS and the situations that we're in today. You know, how are they responding to this? Are they going to be part of this? Is this part of the action of EMS Week for the association?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We've had so many people reach out and want to be a part of this once the word got out. We've got some government officials that want to come and say thank you. They're going to give the EMS Week proclamation at the event. I think we've got, I'm not 100% sure of the, you know, official list, but I know we've got some big names coming as far as government officials to come give their thanks. So it's going to be a big, big deal.
So with this, and, you know, the association working on so many things, I mean, you know, where did this come from? You know, why the need in South Carolina for this association to even be formed? And then, you know, what is the direction? What's the future hold for it?
I mean, every provider needs a voice, and one person, two people, you're not going to get a whole lot change done, but we create, or we help magnify that voice. So we hear our members, we hear our agencies, and we take that and we make change, and we help them make change. And the future of that is just, I mean, who knows? It will be huge. We have done so much in education, workforce development. We've recently been working on our state's disaster preparedness with some of our agencies. So statewide, we're going to be more prepared for hurricanes, evacuations, patient tracking, things like that. So just as a whole, it's giving that voice, and it's magnifying it and making sure they're heard and making sure they're taken care of.
So how does you mentioned area services and, of course, the state level. How does the individual provider get involved?
I mean, it's easy, so easy. They can become a member just by going to the website, signing up, and It's literally that easy. And there are so many benefits to being a member, between discounts at all kinds of local stores. They get the dual membership with the NAEMT. It's endless. There's so many things that they can do with that membership.
What is the website? You said go to the website.
I did, and I should have said that. It is scemsa.org.
Okay, scemsa.org, O-R-G. Okay, great. So, EMS week, a lot of agendas, a lot of issues that you guys are working on. How big is this group that is the core group working on this? Because usually in EMS, what it has is like we have one person who does that and they do it all. So can you tell us a little bit about the group that you're part of and everything that they're working towards?
There's, count one. I think there's 5 of us that are staff. So there isn't a huge group of us working on it full time. The bulk of it, of course, is the staff working on it. And we've got our board that's helping and some volunteers. And it all started with just a small idea from a board member. And then me and my good idea decided to run with it, and it got way, way bigger really quickly. So
that's usually the case. So, hey,
yes.
I got a great idea, and then they're like, okay, go. And then
Yep,
you're trying to figure out how to make it work. So is this the first, of course, 50th anniversary is a big deal, but is this the first kind of coordinated EMS week for the association?
This is absolutely the first one we've ever done. We're hoping to make it an annual celebration every year. But from what I've heard, this is actually the first statewide EMS celebration ever. I don't think any state has ever done a statewide type event like this.
Right. And that's great. We're starting to see a little bit more recognition, and not for just the sense of the thank you, but just to help move us towards the future and what EMS is going to be and how it can help. Because again, yesterday we were talking, and it's like EMS is also known as yes. It's like, hey, we have a problem. Can you help us with this? Yes, we can. And you're like, okay, how are you going to do it? We have no idea how we're going to do it yet, but yes, we can help. And that's the service mentality that most of us have in EMS, is the need to help and to make things better. And then we try to figure out, okay, what does that mean to us? How do we do this? How are we going to help? So having the public more aware of what's going on, I think is very important. And we can't emphasize enough the differences that kind of came up after COVID or during COVID. I mentioned things like the gloves are off now. Everything that we said we could do before COVID, and they're like, I don't know if you could do this. We were doing during COVID because we had to, and now it's like you can't stick the genie back in the bottle. You let us do it for this, now you're going to have to let us do it for everything. So organizations like yours, help, with that broader mission, and like you said, bring kind of a louder voice to the individuals that are kind of there. You have a chorus of people, hey, pay attention, see what's going on. So
Yep,
do you guys do? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know. I was going to say this event, it's almost a dual purpose event. While we're celebrating and we're having fun with all of our EMS providers, everything that is collected, we're having a silent auction during it, but all proceeds of this are actually going to go into our education foundation. So excellent. It's going to actually help build that workforce even more while we're celebrating our providers.
That's great. With what goes on in the States, individual states, and then of course trying to get to the federal level. Do you guys lobby? Because that's something that, everybody talks about, and you're like, well, the nursing association, well, they have a strong lobby. Firefighters, they have a strong lobby. EMS, yeah, we don't really have a lobby. We have a couple organizations that are starting to get into it, of course, but again, to your point of having voices heard, that's the nature of trying to have our voice heard, is some type of lobby. So my question to you is, do you guys lobby?
We do. We very, very much do. We have an amazing executive director, and we have lobbyists, and they are wonderful at their job. They go to EMS on the Hill every year. They are in the State House almost every day when they are in session. And we lobby a great deal, and we get a lot done.
That's great. Well, time's just about up. Anything else that you'd like the group that's listening in to know about the South Carolina EMS Association?
We are an amazing organization. I would absolutely encourage you to join. We have out-of-state members, so you can join from even out of state and just look at some of the things we've done. We're more than happy to share the things we've done and how we can help other states do the same. We are absolutely willing to help.
That's great. Yeah, and that goes back to our core as well. I think with some of the COVID stuff too, where before it seemed like, well, we figured ours out, so you figure yours out. But now everybody is just kind of pouring information all over the place, and we're giving away trade secrets to everybody and anybody that wants to listen. And it's a great time for emergency medical services and pre-hospital medicine, to have this kind of camaraderie and this willingness to elevate as a whole, even the individual, smaller groups. So hats off to you guys. I really appreciate, all the hard work and everything that you guys have done. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day to speak with us. And looking forward to an exciting EMS week this year.
Thank you so much. We are too.